You are listening to Session/Episode 78 of Primordial Harmony, a retelling of the classic Elemental Evil story in the Dungeons & Dragons multiverse. My name is Michael. I am running this, and tonight I'm joined by...
Hello, I'm Senna, and I'm playing Delia the Gnome Wizard and Snow the Elven Tempest Cleric.
And I am Kitties, and I am playing Hum, the Gnome Bod, and Renn, the Goliath Barbarian.
Yo, my name is Miles. I'm playing Tadai Zaltanoff. I am a Aasimar Seeker, and I'm also playing Chadicus Winthrop, a human druid.
Hey, I'm Nyx, and I'm playing Vox. She's a human rogue, and then Naughty Bite, who's a tabaxi.
Oh god, me. I'm Zeph, and I play Zacharo Vitalis, the Fire Genasi fighter, and Vadik, the Hobgoblin, Paladin of Vengeance.
Alright. When we last left the Pact of Koirit's Dwom, as Gordon continues to pick the group's brains for potential leads or relevant details, Tadias' object read on the strange anti-magic arrow finishes. He sees, among striking Chadicus in the old crypt, that the arrow was made from a black ichor that bled from the arm of a humanoid-sized creature's white and scaly arm. The ichor, or ichor, was poured into a cast of stone and then hardened to become one of the arrows that struck the poor druid. He related this to the others, and immediately the Chanzals, father and son, sprang to mind. Soon, Gordon ended the meeting, the two teams reaffirming their decisions, Gordon's task force heading to Conadir Forest and the Excavators heading to Orboro. That evening, we saw many different character scenes. Vardik and Modik offered their services to the militia for the night. Delia spent her night at the Citadel with her family in the Warrens underneath. Hum and Tadias, after escorting Gizo to the Citadel for his safety, retrieved some of Hum's things from the ruined Twiddles and Fiddles, along with a growler of fine 100-year-old halfling scotch. Meanwhile, Chadicus would offer an evening at his home on the outskirts of Forstride. He, Renn, Bit, and Stoneflame all walked there, finding it mostly okay. The condition of the house, that is. Chadicus, despite not cooking for himself for a long while, managed to cook a fine meal for them. Meanwhile, Snow would round up Theo and Dadrin, her acolytes, and began to clean up Oral's temple. She and Theo later offered prayer to Oral on the altar, who would inform both of them to not establish a place of worship to her in the old crypts on the southern side of town. Snow agreed without question, but Theo did question, leading to a minor chiding from the stern goddess. Meanwhile, Zachariel speaks with Torlir, wondering further about his past as Zaman Rule. Torlir recounted the defeat he'd suffered from Imix, but with that painful memory in the fore, Sunis would reassure him that she would aid him in the next fight. Zachariel would then return inside the Wayshield headquarters to be close with his family. Also, Tadias, Hum, and Gordon arrive with that aforementioned booze, Hum pouring a few shots for herself, Gordon, Tadias, and Vox, and I think Zachariel maybe? Tadias then, after partaking in the beverages, gets quite vulnerable with Hum, sharing the anxiety he'd been feeling about losing his control of his mind to magical influence. First the werebore, and now the mind-rending bites of the spawning gnolls. Hum comforts him best she can before they sleep, and even Safinir comes to him in his dream, not to charge him with a task, but to comfort him as well. The next morning, they all gather outside of WHQ. Snow sends a sending to Maeve, informing her that Rarden? How do you say that again? Rarden had been seen at Tomerer, and they, Gordon's task force, planned to head that way themselves. The session ended with Torlir emerging from the forge to give Vardik a new set of plate mail and greatsword, forged from the broken armor and weapons of his now dead comrades. The spiritual regret, sadness, and anger empowered the steel and would better prepare Vardik on his quest for vengeance. We return to the morning of Kythron 22, the morning warm already, as the Pact of Court Dorm stands just outside of the Wayshield headquarters. Do-do-do-do-do.
Oh, Mike,
Yes.
how many of those arrows were there?
Snow had a total of 4 of them.
Total of 4 of them. Those are the ones that came from the crypt, anyway.
Yes.
So you guys stand in front of the Wayshield headquarters. All 10 of you, and Stoneflame, and I think that's and Gordon.
Snow is going to kind of clear her throat a little bit. There was something that I was reminded of last night while praying, along with the gnolls that you guys mentioned being controlled. There was also the hobgoblins that we encountered on our way into the city. Were also seemed bewitched. They had bloodshot eyes and clenched jaws.
Gordon froze his brow, looking definitely concerned, and doesn't hesitate to pass a glance to Vardic.
He's staring at Snow intensely.
Whoa.
She returns your gaze intensely.
Sparks clash of the air.
Seems like whatever we're up against is tapping more than one sort of. He looks like he's choosing his words very carefully. He says more than one sort of race of beings.
Lackey, for better of a word.
What word did you say?
Yes. Lackey.
Oh. Right.
But it's something to be addressed, most certainly.
Gordon kind of blinks and says, I'll have to remember to add that to the easel. So, what else are you going to do before you head out? Are there any other things you need to take care of?
Renn speaks up and she says, "We need to take care of Grobash. We cannot just leave him in those crypts. He must be taken care of. We need to send him to Kulak."
Gordon nods and says, quite right. We must have a service. Well, however you choose to do it. Stoneflame then pipes up and says, I'll help you.
Oh, thank you so much, Stoneflame. I am very conflicted on what to do. In our homeland, we would take him to the cliff and we put him on the edge and we let the birds eat him. It will bring him there. But I don't know that we have the time for that.
Quite a conundrum, says Stoneflame, stroking his chin.
I have been thinking with my brain really hard, and you know how smart I can be. So my thought is we do the big fire, and we burn him, and we send him to Kulak. And we will bring his skull back to the village.
Stoneflame smiles and says, I'm never against getting a big fire going.
We need to find the fermented goat's milk. We must drink to him.
Yes! He looks around. he looks at Zachariel. He says, Zachariel, do you know where we can find fermented goat's milk?
They must have a fermented goat's milk store or a bar or something.
Justin?
Hmm. No, I'm not sure. I don't even know what they're talking about.
You're pretty confident there's probably not any such prepared beverage in town.
Do you know how to ferment this milk? I don't think you can get that here.
Well, it takes about 2 months because it takes a while to make it into the fine alcoholic beverage that it becomes. So it would be in like the stores, where you keep all of your root vegetables. Oh, we'll just go to another Goliath in town. Where do all the Goliaths live here?
Oh. I don't believe there is another one.
Huh?
I'm afraid he's right. Pipes up Gordon. He says Grobash was the last Goliath that was in Fort Stride for a while until two of you came here.
Oh.
Perhaps he has some at his house?
That's an idea, he says, looking at Renn. Surely they'll let you into his quarters in the Citadel.
They told me that they cleaned out his place, but they only gave me this box.
Stoneflame says...
I'll have to go check with the Colonel Blaze. He must know.
Stoneflame kind of chuckles a bit and says, perhaps he's already drinking what he had.
Well, he wasn't much of a drinker anyways. What to do? Hum pipes in, and she comes and she puts the bottle in the middle of the room of the 100-year-old scotch, and she says, I know it's not fermented goat's milk.
Denias begins biting his thumb angrily.
But we did find this fine scotch, and Grobash was such a good man. He protected this city so well. I think that it would be a fine thing to share this bottle with his family for his funeral.
It appears to even be Goliath-sized.
Stoneflame says, I could probably drink all that in one gulp, but I will share it.
Renn hits him in the middle of the chest.
Oof! What? It's true.
It is for the Grobash, and it is for the group.
Yes.
You be good.
Of course.
You are getting on the last nerve, and I will take you down like I did earlier today.
He's half smiling and half looking incredulous. He says, "What? I didn't say I would actually drink it all myself. I just said that I could. He looks at let's see. Do you think he'd know if that Tadias was a bit of a drinker?
I don't know. He hasn't really talked about it.
I don't really think so yet. He says,
I mean, how it looks is kind of like he put his, like, like that closed fist up to your face when you want to hold back something you're saying, and he's just biting his thumb at the same time.
I don't think he's not insightful enough to see that.
Very subtle shade.
Yeah. let's see. He just says, I'm just saying that I could probably drink. Most of the folks here under the table, that's all.
Enough from you. Ren looks down at Hum and she gets down on her knees so she can be closer to the ground. Because Ren is like 7'2", and Hum is like 2'4".
So,
And she says to Ren, "You are a fine little person. Thank you so much for caring." And Hum blushes.
Stoneflame, Ren bested you in a sparring today?
she beat me in the foot race.
And yesterday I kicked his butt.
Really?
Bah!
Ask everybody who was around. They saw it happen.
Our strength is
It's up. It's true.
our strength is comparable.
Perhaps
Keith?
our spar will have to wait another day, since you've been thoroughly defeated already.
What? No. We didn't fight to the sleeping. We fought to the tossing down to the ground.
Hmm.
I still want to fight you, he says to Zachriel.
It is waste of your time. You look like Mighty Warrior. He looks like Rock with problems.
Stoneflame. Let's see. He actually furrows his brow a little bit, and he gives a sharp look to Ren, and he says, "Do not mock my rock power. It was a gift."
Mm-hmm.
He says, "If I didn't like," he looks at Gordon, and he says, "If I didn't like that man so much, I would tear up the street here just to show you."
Don't worry, I'm here to protect them. I can already show you I beat you twice. I've been here less than a day.
He says, no, I mean, I could tear up the street. I wouldn't actually attack. I'm a friend here. Besides, now is not the day for a competition. We're here to, or you want us to celebrate Grobash.
Every day is for competition.
Then we'll fight in his honor.
You want to get embarrassed in front of all these peoples?
He says, "Are you afraid of getting embarrassed in front of all these peoples?"
Well, you'll have conundrum. Because if you beat me, it looks like you picked on the little girl whose brother died.
That is true.
He stops talking and he makes like the thinking emoji face, and he just does that for a long time until somebody talks to him.
Ren, I think you could take him, says Delia.
Thank you, little person. I already did. It was pretty mighty. Ask the cat person. She saw.
Yes. I sense another competition.
Well, as much as I like a good competition, I think we have pressing matters.
Gordon.
Yes. I will have to find the place that they do the pyre.
Gordon says, "Are you searching for a place to do a funeral service? Of course, right?"
Yes, that.
He looks towards the temple district, and he says, "The temple of Kalemvor. He is the human god of death. They may be able to assist you."
Sounds perfect.
He says, Gordon looks like he's about to say something, but then, tromping up the Market Avenue up the hill, you see a group of militiamen. And they get to the part of the street that you're on. And Gordon Copernicus, that's me. What can I do for you, gentlemen? And he looks hopeful. And he says, we're here to inform you that Colonel Blaze has called an all clear, and we're going to start escorting people to their homes. Oh, thank goodness. He says, I'm going to start... He looks at the party now, and he says, I'm going to... with the way shields that are here, we're going to start getting people to their homes. If you need anything, that's what we'll be doing. And he turns and starts to walk to the building of the headquarters. Leaving you in the street.
Well, it is probably time to start the proceedings for the ritual. I can lead you, Renn, to the place where they're keeping Grobash's body. I believe they mentioned it was at the Citadel.
Renn has to say that.
Renn says, let's go. We must get this done quickly. We don't want his body to start stinking.
Dealey is gonna nudge Tadias and Hum and say, I think we should go to the Citadel too. Last night I saw Calexan there.
Oh, yes, we should go there.
All right.
Should we get Zachriel in on this?
You let them know. Excuse me. I don't want to intrude, but we knew Grobash. Is there any chance we could attend the services as well?
It would be a great honor.
So we will join you. And Zachriel, we think our friend, the White Dragonborn, might be there. Something to do on the way.
Renn hands the bottle of scotch over to Tadias and says, "You look like you should guard this."
I look out better and I say, "My life."
Vox, do you want to come with us?
Oh, sure.
All right. So you guys, let's go with, well, who's going? Okay, so it seems like everybody's walking to the Citadel.
Yeah.
So on the way to the Citadel, down Market Avenue, across the bridge and stuff, you start seeing people in groups coming out and starting to return to wherever their homes were in the Industrial Hill, and people are starting to walk toward the bridges to get across to the southern side. And there's talk. People are just sharing that they're relieved that this is over and they can start rebuilding. And they're just walking back. And so the whole 10 of you get to Citadel. And by the way, Stoneflame is still standing in the middle of the street next to the Wayshield headquarters with his hand on his chin thinking. He's going to be there a while. So what group to
We'll put some feathers and glitter on him before we...
What?
Oh yeah, the gnomes will definitely take care of that.
We could focus on either group first. Which any preferences? Otherwise, I'll flip a coin. All right.
Call heads.
For who?
Exactly.
Okay. 1 is Excavators, 2 is GTF. All right.
Called it.
So When you guys get to the front of the Citadel, and you get towards walking in, people are like filing past you, and militiamen are just saying, "If you see any other creatures, run back." Stuff like that. And Delia, you see your family emerging from the steps that lead down, and they're starting to walk out to exit the building of the Citadel. And they all see you, and they give a smile.
I wave at them.
And
did Dias have his eyes out for his mom, dad, Dimitri, and Katie at the same time?
well, your parents are back at Wayshield headquarters.
They've been hanging out there? Okay, cool.
Yeah, because you guys delivered them there. For Katie, sure, you can have your eyes out for Katie. She's not here, though. To remind you, she was holed up in the Archaeological Institute.
I wasn't there that day.
That's right, you weren't there that day. Well, to tell you that Tadias knows that piece of information that I just said.
Copy. Then Dimitri?
Dimitri, yeah. You keep your eyes open for Dimitri, and as you enter, and after Delia's family greets her and says that they're heading back to their homestead to hopefully patch up whatever damage has been done, Dimitri walks up the steps and onto like the main floor of the Citadel, and he says, Tadias!
They couldn't get you, of course. I walk up and I give him a big hug.
He hugs back, and he says, "Oh boy, what? It seemed like the last 3 days have all bled together into one."
It's been longer than that.
And he says, he looks at your face and he says, "My goodness, what happened to you?"
Yeah, I didn't win a bar fight.
He blinks and he says, "How did you get into a bar fight at a time like this?"
There's a lot to discuss, but there's more important things to discuss.
All right.
I kind of lean in and I kind of quietly whisper that I don't have a lot of time to talk, but I try to explain the situation with the letters to the Feather Gales and Arisi.
Okay. So you're trying to like express all of this in like
Just trying to quickly
a matter of
say
seconds?
they've been getting intercepted. I have things to do right now, but you should really try to find in contact to him again where he should be right now.
Where who
I'll give you
should?
the details later.
Okay.
Proper name? Where is it? Goats.
Goats.
Moroska.
Moroska.
Yeah. Like talk to the Moroska. He should be able to fill you in on exactly what happened, and he should be out of that situation now. But essentially, your communication for the last few months have been completely disrupted, and I wanted to let him know that real quick.
You let him know that in like the span of a couple seconds, and like his face is like looks all sad and like distraught, and then you tell him that like, oh, you fixed it, and he's like, oh, okay.
Exactly.
He like puts his hand in his chest, and it's like, oh, okay, wow.
I've been very busy. I know. I would write more.
There's a lot going on. Okay, well, you do what you need to do. I'm going to go and fix up the winds and sails.
All right. Take care. Kind of pat him on the back, and I walk back to the group.
Looks for Calexan. So it's a little bit crowded in here with people like, slowly coming out. They're not it's not a mad rush because the militiamen are making it not a mad rush. No reason to trip over each other. So it's kind of a pain for you guys to start looking. Yeah, through the crowds you don't see them.
Hum taps Renn on the leg, seeing how tall she is, and says, "Would you be willing to give me a boost so I could see through this group?" And Renn says, "Oh, no problems," and lifts Hum up and puts her on her shoulders. Does that give her advantage on perception, seeing she's so high?
Well, Calexan, being a white dragonborn, would stick out like a sore thumb in this crowd of humans and one or two, or not one or two, but like a smattering of half elves and full elves and other color dragonborn, and you don't see him. And, the crowd keeps filing and filing and filing. And how long are you... So, just for logistics, is... Renn knows where her brother's body is. So does she just make her way there, or is she just going to let Hum hang out on her shoulders until they can see that either they find him or find that he's not there?
She kind of puts Hum on her shoulders and then just kind of forgets she's there. It's like a gnat on her shoulder. But she leans down to Chaticus and she says, "Where is this person I was going to talk to?"
Colonel Blaze might know exactly the location, so we should go to speak to him first.
Okay.
I tried to find the quickest route to Colonel Blaze, probably, querying one of the guards around here.
Yeah, he points, so he recognizes the excavators more than he recognizes Chaticus, and he just gives a quick once over, and he points like, he's up the stairs, his office is there, and he's likely in there. If not, he's helping with getting everyone out of the warrens and back into the city.
Understandable. So I will begin leading the posse towards the office, I suppose.
So I'm just going along with Renn. Please play that out.
Yeah, I mean, she's on her shoulder, and it's such a great vantage point that she's just looking around because it's such a huge group of people. I mean, he could pop out of any door or anything. So she's just looking around, looking for
Hey, Delia.
Calexan, and
roll a strength check. As there's like a crowd of people that are kind of just walking out, and you're like in the thick of it, unless you're on somebody else's shoulders too. Where's Delia in this?
She's probably staying to the side.
Okay.
Like, not... Like, she'll try and, like, go through the crowd, but, like, it's just trying to, like, get off to areas that are not quite as crowded.
Vox is gonna stick with Delia.
Renn sees Delia, who looks like a match set to Hum, kind of struggling, and swoops her up and says, "You sit on the other shoulder. It would be much more safer for you."
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
So now there's this large Goliath barbarian woman with a gnome on each side.
I think she took the throne
Sounds
from Tadias.
powerful.
That is a scary combination. What's just to give me a little view? What is Tadias doing in this, and what is Zachriel doing in this? Basically, if you haven't talked, tell me where you are.
Tadias is probably letting the giant, Goliath individuals break the crowd and just kind of like walking behind them in step.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, Zachriel is just walking forward. I'm like trying to push through people, just moving side to side to make room.
Excuse me. Yeah, so, I mean...
And Vardek is just walking straight, and I imagine people are trying to get out through, but they're also trying to keep a little bit of a berth from him.
Yeah, like a little bit of a berth, yeah. Alright, so if you guys... If Hum and Delia don't object, then Renn's probably going to bring them up to Colonel Blaze's office, huh?
Well, they haven't asked to be put down. She's not very intelligent.
No, that's fine. I just trying to get a picture of the logistics here. So you guys see, I guess everyone ends up at Colonel Blaze's office, eventually. And as you guys are watching the crowd, it thins. I mean, this is over the course of like 20 minutes. probably more than 20 minutes because there's a lot of people here. And I guess you either leave the crowd or you wait until it thins. So do you end up leaving the crowd and going up the stairs like the militiaman said?
I'm following Chaticus, so
What's Chaticus doing?
I mean, I got my instructions. I'm following the path, kind of pushing
Okay.
the crowd as much as I can.
So then, Tadias and Zachriel and Vox, you are ending up heading up the stairs. Delia too, along with everyone else. So eventually everyone ends up in front of Colonel Blaze's office, unless it doesn't. You tell me.
sounds like that's where we end up.
Alright, you end up in front of Colonel Blaze's office.
I like the idea of 10 people just standing right outside this dude's office.
Yeah, I guess that's what happened. What do you do?
I proceed to knock on the door if there's no guards. If there are guards, I quickly, ask, "Oh, is Colonel Blaze inside?"
No guards, you knock. And you hear, "Oh, come in."
And I push open the door to a motley crew. Yes, I'm looking for Colonel Blaze.
The man with the graying red hair and beard stands up, and he nods to everyone there, because I think he's seen everyone there except for maybe Bit and Chaticus and Snow.
Renn?
You've seen Renn. He says, Renn, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Whoa. He says, your brother hasn't moved. He's in the same room if you're here to collect collect him.
I need to find the person that does the pyres so that we can bury him. Well, not bury him. We're going to burn him and send him to cool it.
Gordon suggested that we go to the Temple District. There will be probably a service there. So, if you'd like to carry the body, we can do that. If you'd like, I can summon creatures to do so, if it's more dramatic.
Oh,
way.
I could do it.
Then we were just letting you know that we'll be collecting the body and proceeding with the funeral rites today. If you wish to join us, it'll be probably in the Temple District.
Oh,
It probably was important to you as well.
he was actually. He looks at Ren. He says, "Would you mind if I tell some of the men that served under him? They probably want to join in this too."
I think that is an excellent idea.
I've written it. It would be my honor. I considered Grobash to be a friend, if I could help you carry him.
I would be honored if you did. Thank you so much.
He says, "If you mind delaying the service at least until later this afternoon, so that all of the men that that served under him can be ready and available. We have to work with getting everyone home."
I think this would be a perfect idea, because I have not even started the plan.
He smiles slightly, and he says, well, just reach out with a message, or you may stop by at any time. You're welcome to my office." He says that to everybody.
Thank you, Colonel Blaze. I appreciate very much that my brother meant very much to you.
He was a good man. And he took the service to our little city-state here very, very personally and very seriously.
He was a very mighty warrior. And she starts, getting misty-eyed and says, "I must go, though, because
Of course.
this is not the right time to do this. So I will go to this place that we were talking about."
Of course.
And she wipes her eyes with the backs of her hands. I was not crying, just so you know.
Yes, it's awfully hot in here.
She stomps out with the two
Oh, that's an interesting...
gnomes on her shoulder.
You have to duck for their sake. And your sake. Because you're definitely taller than a door frame.
I do duck.
It's an awkward affair.
Well, Renn probably knows better than Jadicus where that room is, so he follows her now.
Renn leads the party to the room.
Renn leads the party to the room.
So it's just a small makeshift morgue that is on the first floor. That looks like it was. It looks like it was like an office, but it was cleared out, and there are several. Cots that have shrouds over them. And Renn, you obviously remember which one is Grobash. And there's a militiaman who is on duty there, and it's the same one from the day before. And he says, "Oh, hello. Are you here to retrieve him?"
Yes.
He goes and produces another sheet, and he says, "Here for carrying him to wherever you're taking him."
She looks at Zachariel, who's offered to help her carry him, and says, "Why don't you just grab the one side of the cot, and I'll grab the other side, and we will just carry him that way."
Looks to me.
Delia's gonna... Well, maybe not so much hot, but
I see her fidgeting to Dias, and I kind of grab her and put her on my shoulder.
thank you.
Does that baby, hands thing towards Tadias.
Tadias just kind of, lays his shoulder kind of underneath it so she can make the jump.
Oh, thank you, kind sir. I forgot they were on my shoulders.
It's alright. They're just back home.
Ooh, damn. I just got that.
We should probably proceed to the temples, if you would. I'll lead you the way. And Chadicus will start leading them out of the Citadel.
So, as you guys start leaving the Citadel, hoisting up the cot, the militiaman on duty runs up to Tadias, and he says, "Can you make sure that cot gets back here?"
I'll see it done. Don't worry.
Thank you. I didn't want to, you know. And he backs up. So who's going to the Temple District? Is anybody staying in the Citadel, or is everyone going?
Vardic is gonna lag behind. Before they leave, he's gonna walks up behind Snow. Snow.
I turn to look at him. Yeah.
These hobgoblin you met, what did they look like?
They looked as though they might have been your kin.
Is that a racial thing?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to imply.
No, did they have any distinguishing marks on them?
Did they?
Um.
I don't remember.
Well.
Just say all hobgoblins look the same.
Well, no, I mean like all hobgoblins look the same, like all humans look the same, like it's that kind of thing. But like, what is Vardic asking for? Just
He's trying to see if there's any like insignias.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
And he's gonna go talk to Modic.
Okay, well, I mean, Snow doesn't exactly know that. So, Snow remembers, what they look like, that they had kind of shoddy chain or plate mail armor. But other than that, she doesn't really remember any distinguishing, like, iconography. Just that their jaws were clenched, they had bloodshot eyes, and when they were killed, their jaws popped open and looked like they were screaming.
Yeah, I might not go quite so macabre with it.
Sure.
But just letting him know what I can remember, which is not much.
Where did you come into contact with them?
They were to the east of the city.
Okay. There's something I must do. I'll meet up with you at the temple.
I give him a nod.
He's gonna leave them to go find Modic.
Okay. We'll get back to that. Don't let me forget that. So as for everyone else, is there anybody staying in the Citadel, or is everybody going to the Temple District now?
I think so far everyone's going.
Okay. So, Zachriel and Renn are carrying Gorbash's body on the cot, making their way to the Temple District. And, Shadicus, you know where the temple that Gordon suggested is.
Yeah, very familiar. So I will lead this, procession almost down to the Temple District. Probably, I wonder if it'd be smarter to take that western road, but either way.
I mean, you get there eventually.
Yeah. I'll lead them to the temple. Does it look like it's in as much dismay as some of ours were?
There's some damage around the sides, and there's priests that are like starting to clean it up. Some people are sweeping, and some are like grabbing gnoll corpses and moving them.
Pardon. We were looking to proceed in a funeral ritual. We were inquiring if the temple would be open to meet this service.
So, the person who's sweeping looks up, and the excavators, except for Delia, recognize Carahill. And she calls out, Hum, Tadias, Zachriel.
Hum squeals with delight and screams, Carahill!
I put her down so she can run over.
She runs and hugs Carahill.
She hugs her back.
Hey, we have a friend who is in need. During everything that's happened, Grobash was killed.
Oh no. Okay, and she needs a service.
She does. She's a particularly large. Well, maybe not particularly large. Maybe I'm just particularly small. Who knows? But She said something about Goliath culture, and she keeps making this comment about a Kulayik. Do you know this guy?
That sounds familiar. She looks and she sees Renn, and like meets her eyes if she can, and just kind of passes along a look of like I recognize that you're in pain right now, that kind of look. And she says, "I believe we can do a service for this deity. It sounds familiar. Let me go speak to the high priest."
Nice to see you again, Carol.
It's good to see you too, Zachariel. How are you?
Pretty good, all things considered.
I like kind of nudged the brown color on his chest, just subtly.
Was she there for that?
I don't think she was.
No, she think she was.
No, she wasn't.
She says, oh man, would she even recognize it?
I don't know if she would.
She.
If she gives me that inquisitive look, I say,
Yeah, it's an inquisitive look, yeah.
He's already moving up in the world. He is a newly promoted, newly homeless, but I mean, we'll change that quickly.
Oh,
Nice, too soon.
Congratulations, and I'm sorry.
I'm right there with you, my man.
I'll go speak to the high priest. I'm sure that a funeral service will be just what he needs, actually. And she turns and jogs to the temple proper.
Tadias, be careful who you say I'm homeless to. If Floriana hears, I'm not going to be able to stop that lightning bolt.
Hey, you're a resilient man. I think you can handle it.
Well, I think it'd be coming at you, not me.
Excuse me, I shouldn't laugh at a time like this. Ren looks over and says, "He's okay, Gnome. That was pretty funny."
I would imagine that the smell that would be left behind would be a lot like, and Tadias looks at, or Zyker looks at Tadias and grins and says, "Bacon."
It's been a long time since I got one of those jokes. You might have to explain it to the others, but we should proceed.
No, that's fine.
A middle-aged man who is quite thin walks behind Carahil as she walks back up to you in the front of the temple. And he smiles, and he looks, he doesn't look ghastly or anything. He just looks a little bit haggard, as does everyone who's experienced what everyone has just experienced. And he says, "Hello, I am Obligator Polton." And he bows slightly. And he says, "Would you remind me of the name of that deity that you wish to offer up to?"
Is Kulayik.
Ah, the Goliath deity of death. Of course we can accommodate that.
She is goddess of death and exile. Our friend Stoneflame should probably know.
Well, I can't speak to that, but I do have some documentation of some of the rites. Unfortunately, it would take a while to do the proper ritual with the vultures and whatnot.
Well, in here is my conundrum. I cannot carry him back here and revenge his death. So I was thinking that we could do funeral pyre and send his soul up to the heavens. And I will take Skull with me, and we'll take it to our burial area in our village once I have revenged him.
He nods and he says, "We can make that work." And he he says, "If you, we can have that we can prepare and have that service ready to proceed today, if you like.
I would like to do it at the sunset.
He nods. He says that would be fine. We're going to probably spend much of the day with other individuals who have succumbed to the invasion. We can definitely have a period of time for... What was the relation?
He is my brother,
Your brother.
and he was fine warrior who was Grobash, the marshal from the militia.
Mm-hmm. Alright. We can make that work. And he says to Carahel, can you get I need names. Can you get Loro and Enro to come and take the remains and prepare him? And she nods and she runs off to do that. And he looks at Renn and says, is there anything in particular other than what you said? Do you need to stay with him, or...?
I will stay until his body is gone.
He nods.
Excuse me, Obligator, is it?
That's the title, yes.
Can I ask you a question about gods and the like?
Sure. You'll probably get an answer from me that will differ from other priests you could talk to, but I'm willing to tell you what I believe.
Well, that's fine. I've never really been one to believe in gods and that sort of thing. Do you know if anyone among this town or this region that isn't crazy? I mean, no offense.
Yeah, he kind of raises an eyebrow.
Just bear with me. That would pray to elemental gods, perhaps old primal gods.
In Forstride? Likely.
I'm more so just curious about a name that I heard in passing.
Well, I don't know any elemental gods off the top of my head. I know of the Primordials. The ancient Primordials, I know of them. I don't really know any of them. You might wish to speak with clerics of Ogma. They may have some information for you.
Oh, thank you. I'll just throw it out there. Have you ever heard of the name Zaman Rule?
He thinks and he says, I may have heard that name once, but nothing comes to mind, I'm afraid.
Okay.
So what's happening now? Who's going where?
Chadicus is going to stay with Renn. I built him as a grief counselor, so he's going to just start talking to her and making sure she's okay.
Renn is, once the individuals come to ready his body, Renn is just standing there looking. She's got that blank stare. Like she's not sure what to do next.
That's Renn, you're saying?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I need to resolve something. Hey, why'd you whisper to the camera? Justin?
That wasn't meant for the camera.
Okay.
Well done.
I was like, wait, am I on the right screen? Shit! I'm on the right screen. Okay, Okay, so Ren's sticking around, and she's kind of fugue right now.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
not sure what to do.
What about whoever hasn't talked yet? I'm sorry, that totally.
Tadias is going to do what he can to grab the cot after they grab the body to prepare it.
Okay, the two acolytes come and they keep eyes on Renn, like in terms of reverence, like to see like what they're doing is okay, and they start to lift the shrouded body off of the cot. And then,
As they walk away, tears start streaming down the side of Ren's face.
Snow is actually going to she's going to start praying over the body and cast ceremony as a
ooh,
ritual.
which effect? Wait, I don't remember what the funeral does. What does funeral do?
Funeral rite, you touch one corpse, and for the next 7 days, the target can't become undead by any means short of a wish.
Oh, nice. Okay. Meanwhile, Tadias like reaches for
I
the
try
cot.
to get the cart, yeah. Just like kind of as quickly and as like, efficiently, I just kind of like wrap it up and put it on my shoulder and say, "This needs to go back to the militia. There are many more." So I'll go do that. Be back here at sunset. Sorry.
Tadias,
Yes.
since you're going back there, perhaps you could find Vardic and see what happened to him, direct him to where we are.
I was going to make a detour anyway. I can do that.
Is
I believe you.
anyone else going back to the Citadel?
I'm just gonna follow Tadias.
All right.
So will Delia.
Alrighty. What about Zachriel? What about Vox?
Well, Zachariel was just told about some people he could go talk to, so he's
Okay.
going to look for those.
Gotcha. All right. He shows you a picture of a scroll and says, just down the way there, and then he directs you. He gives you like the easy directions to the Temple of Agma.
Thank you, and again, I apologize for any offense I may have caused.
No, not at all. These are trying times we've just experienced.
Oh, you don't know the half of it.
He pauses at that, but then starts to move back toward the temple. Carahill goes to hug Hum one more time and says, "It's good to see you again."
We miss you. You should think about coming back.
She blushes a bit and she says, "I've got my duty here. But thanks for thinking of me."
Illyria left us.
Oh,
She's helping out. She's looking for something. And we'll meet up with her again, but it's been different without the both of you.
Yeah. You take care. We know where to find you. I'm glad you've made it through.
she smiles and she says, I'll see you guys at sunset."
See you at sunset.
What is Vox and Bit doing? I haven't heard from you, Nix.
Because I was away for a second or a minute. I just got back.
Well, to recap, I think most of actually, so is Chadicus and Snow staying at the Temple of Kilemvor?
Yeah, I'll help the service if I need to, and I'll make sure that Ren's okay.
Okay, what about Snow? I didn't hear you.
It takes an hour and 10 minutes to cast ceremony, so yeah.
Oh, okay. Then, alright. So what is...
A lot of praying.
And Tadias and Hum and Delia are heading back to the Citadel, and Zachriel's going to do a little bit of his own questioning of religious figures. So what are your dudes doing next?
Bit is going with Chadicus and them.
Alrighty. What about Vox?
With the other group going, would you say the Citadel?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, let's do the scene with Vardik. So Vardik goes and searches for Madik.
Yeah.
All right. After asking around a little bit, you find Vardik leading with a group of militiamen, leading a group of people back to homes on the industrial hill. The workers that have their little duplexes on the hill, and at this point, Vardik might be pleased to note that nobody is kind of giving side glances to Madik. They seem to have been either cowed or see that he is just another individual doing his duty for Forstride, however short a time that may have been. And he sees you and he says, Vardik.
Madik. You like what I have?
Oh, that's right. He looks and he says, was that the pieces that you collected?
Yes.
They came together so completely. So nicely.
Yes, like, one cohesive unit.
He reaches out and lays a hand on the pauldron of your plate armor. And his eyes just kind of like widen a bit, and he says, like, I can feel them too.
Good, not just me.
He takes his hand away and he says, did you need something of me?
Do you know of clans of our people from the east?
He says, yes, there's a group that keeps to themselves in the Neartol woods.
I believe that whatever happened to Forstride, whoever did this perpetrator, they were using our people against their will.
His expression darkens. And he says... He says... do you mean without any sort of agreement, without any sort of contract, compensation?
No, from my understanding, they were almost like they were put under some sort of magic.
He says, this can't... He shakes his head. This can't stand. This cannot stand.
And also, when they were found in combat, their jaws popped open and they screamed a horrific scream.
Hold on, did Snow say that to him?
Oh, never mind. I don't know that.
Okay, I just want to make sure. But she did describe like the what did Snow describe to him about their appearance? Was it just the bloodshot eyes and the clenched jaws?
Yeah.
Okay, then that.
They had bloodshot eyes, clenched jaws, shoddy armor.
He just shakes his head angrily. He says, find whoever's responsible and destroy them. Entirely.
Yes.
And like at this point, you've both been standing in place for a hot minute, and says, and you hear, Madik, are you alright over there? He looks over and he says, I need a moment. And the human militiaman says, alright, we'll just come swing by when we return to the Citadel. And then Madik says, thanks. And
Vardik is gonna, when he says that, and he draws the sword.
Okay.
And shows it to...
He kind of like puts his hand over the blade, and he just kind of like traces down the length of it, and he says, "This also came from their broken weapons."
Yes.
And he gestures like he wants to hold it.
I let him hold it.
He takes a few steps back with it, and his eyes kind of just go wide, and he just takes a swing, brandishes it, and it looks just completely natural. And then he looks back at Vardic, and he looks at the blade, and then he looks at Vardic again, and hands it back. And he says, "Use it well."
Yes. You're already fitting in.
He says, "The men here, they're good. They don't fear me. They don't see me as a tool. They see me as they see me as a person. They see us as people."
They should probably fear you a bit.
He smiles. He says, They respect me. They respect us." He says their leader was a good one.
You mean Blaze?
Yes.
He seems a good man.
He nods.
You will do him proud.
And he puts his hand back on the pauldron, and he says, "You will do me proud." And then he like knocks his fist against the plate, the breastplate, and he says, "And you will do them proud too."
Yes. I will not return until I do.
Good.
He just kind of like puffs his chest up and glares at Modek for a few minutes before slowly turning and walking away.
I guess he would say, dismissed."
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. So let's go to Tadias, Hum, and Delian Vox. Or sorry, Vox. Heading toward the Citadel. It's definitely thinned out. The crowd is thinned out. And so as Tadias like has the cot and he's bringing it to that makeshift morgue, the lower area is sort of like a great hall, is empty, and there's two militiamen standing by the stairs, and you overhear them say, "Is that all of them?" Yeah, there's just that one. I think that's, and he like looks all shifty, but Tadias and Vox hear him kind of say under his breath, "I think that's Marshal Chanzal's boy down there, who's just sort of, he hasn't moved. He's been sort of staring at his knees." He says, "Should we get him out of there?" Just give him a minute. It looks like he's worried about something. He isn't really bothering us. Or he isn't really causing any trouble." Okay. And they just kind of go off and they start moving away from that area.
Before they get all the way away, she says, Hum says to them, "Where is Marshal Chantal's son?"
Calexan, that was his name. Oh, he's just down in the warren, just down the stairs, a few lengths. He just gives like a unit of measure, and then take a left, and he's just right there. And Delia, that's exactly where you left him. That's what you recognize as exactly where you left him.
I see.
We should probably take care of that.
Huh, you think?
Go after you.
Hum kind of does her gets on her, like, kind of pulls at her skirt a little bit, puts on her marching shoes.
Is that
And
one
marches
of our cots? Says the militiaman.
We were returning it. We were.
Oh, I can take.
taking... Oh, yes, sorry.
I can take care of that. He just picks it up and walks over to the morgue.
Well, after you, Mr. Marchie Pants.
Come on, Mr. Drinky Pants.
I could get used to that. Just kind of arms above his head, kind of like, you know.
I guess it's better than bacon.
What is this of bacon, you say?
We will sing the song of Tadias's Run with Bacon one day.
First a frog, now a bacon. What do you guys get yourselves into?
What don't we get ourselves into?
We should tell her about the manacles.
Oh, you mean the rainbow glitter?
Yep.
Yeah, we'll pull them out for her later. First, let's get Calexan into conversation. See what he knows.
So you guys walk down to that area, and sure as shit, Calexan sits against the wall. His knees bent, and like kind of splayed apart just a little bit. He's in that position where like he's kind of resting his arms on his knees, and he's just kind of like staring down at the ground.
As Tadias is walking up, I'm going to cast a spell.
What are you gonna cast? You keyed it. Was this Detect Thoughts? Ooh. Okay. Detect Thoughts making me think. I love it. Okay. Let me think this out. You know what? Let's take our break here, and I wanna think a little bit because I didn't expect Detect Thoughts. I just give me a second to think and eat.
Sounds good. Break time.
We'll be right back.
Primordial Harmony will be right back after these messages.
I'll have to keep that in.
Enjoy these messages from our sponsors.
Getting that mac and cheese.
That's
Come on,
our first
Who does the
sponsor.
first? Who's our first? Well, who's our first sponsor?
Mike's Mac and Cheese.
That's
Are
right.
you tired?
Oh, sorry.
Are you tired of that old, gross tasting powdered cheese? Do you ever just crave creamy, sharp cheddar? Try Mike's Mac and Cheese.
Perfect.
Available only at Zachary's Cookhouse.
For the best mac and cheese in the whole wide world, try Mike's Cheese at Zachary.
I'm going to be cringing for the rest of my life, by the way.
You'll be fine.
Why is that?
Because I definitely didn't mean to imply like all hobgoblins are related or all hobgoblins look the same. I just meant like Vardic, Muddick, Thridic, or whatever, and they're all being like harassed and attacked by the cult.
What did I walk into?
Well,
I
first you
didn't
missed
mean
a
to be
commercial,
racist earlier.
Oh,
but first you missed a commercial for your mac and cheese, and then
I was about to say.
about being racist.
We now return to Primordial Harmony. So you guys stand in front of Calexan, sitting like I described.
Hey, Calexan.
Oh crap! The detect thoughts. Shit, I didn't even think of anything. Okay. So here's what the surface thoughts are.
Is Miles here?
Yeah, you said. Is a bit of a conversation. Like he's... Actually, there's several things. The first thing is you see or detect this sort of this emotion playing out in his head, this disappointment from the fact that Solid Strides was mostly destroyed. Like he's clearly very upset about that. But there's also a creeping dread that he feels because the last time he saw his dad was the day before this all started. And you remember him, or like, I guess, okay, so you remember him remembering because I guess that's how I'm sort of interpreting Detect Thoughts. He's just thinking about this moment where he looked his dad in the eye, and it looks like he's trying to play it out in his mind, and he's trying to think of like what is going on, because he looked his dad in the eye the last time before like they broke for because like from the memory you see they're having lunch together. they went their separate ways, and the last time he looked his dad in the eye, and he's just thinking to himself like, what am I missing? What am I missing? What am I missing?
While the spell's going, I'm gonna kind of like take a little like squat, like a knee next to him, and I'll look at him and say, "Do you think he was involved, your father?"
He kind of jumps a bit. He looks up at you, and he says, "Oh, Tadias." But when you ask that, what goes on in his head is something like is added to that, like this sort of creeping darkness that he feels, but it's not like coming to the surface. It's almost as if he's trying to shove it down.
You know, it's a strange time to ask this, but I might be able to help if you'll let me.
Well, what do you mean?
I want you to clear your mind.
Are you? And he like
I don't break eye contact with him.
he squints and he looks at you and he says, Are you using a spell?"
I am.
He closes his eyes and he says, "If you want to probe deeper, just go for it."
I focus on the thought that he was trying to push down.
Are you gonna do the probe thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So he just lets it happen. And this sort of deluge of linking thoughts, like the kind of like frantic anxiety linking thoughts, all sort of swirls around, and you can see that one thing that's sticking out for him is that his dad's eye color was once this light blue, that of ice, like his ancestry. But he is sort of this anxiety that's swirling together. It seems like over the past couple of months, it started to turn a violet. And he's racking his brain on what, like, involuntarily racking his brain on what could that possibly mean.
Okay.
And there's also something a little cryptic that his father said to him, the last thing he said to him. He said, He said, make sure you get to bed early and don't study too hard in the library at night. But it sounds
But
like...
I don't sense any guilt or any knowledge of the event that happened, so he seems innocent to me, right?
Yeah, he's super anxious about, like, what's going on, and he seems very worried.
That was the main thing I wanted the guys out of him. So I end the spell. You can see, like, my eye contact kind of breaks a little bit as I take a normal kind of face again. I have to make sure you weren't involved.
Weren't
You know
involved?
what happened at Aka?
What happened at Aka? I actually wasn't there when this all went down.
Some terrible, terrible things.
He kind of, like, sits up, and he starts moving to stand up, and he says,
We didn't get there in time. More with the fact that one teacher was killed in a ritual perpetrated by the people who had the attack on the city.
he's just, his eyes are wide, and as he's taking this in,
I know you did not know of this, and I know you had no involvement. But we believe there was a certain weapon used. And based on my research, it was produced by something similar to you and your father.
okay. What?
I'm gonna produce the arrow. I'm gonna kind of show it to him.
Okay.
What do you know of this?
Nothing. I've never seen... It's a black arrow.
Right. This was forged by black ichor, drawn from a creature from white scales, a humanoid creature.
Calexan's eyes just kind of widen.
It was fired into an associate of mine. And it was also found at Aka, used by some of the terrorists that attacked our city. And I know you are pondering your father and what he's been changing, the ways he's altered recently.
And he hasn't been...
No, go.
He hasn't been... there's been no sign or word of him. That's what the militiamen have told me.
I am worried. Your father is not acting himself. I'm worried by the reports I've received that he's being controlled. And I think you might agree with me that some of that might be true.
Some sort of influence must be affecting him.
I'm going to turn to Bit. You said there was hobgoblins that were controlled or some strange mind. Your friend said it. Snow.
Oh, is Bit with them?
Yeah, Bit was with this crew.
I thought
Bit
Box was with them.
Box was with this crew, that's right. I don't think any of the task force are here, are they?
No.
No, so I only heard that comment, so I'll just put that back in.
I mean, you heard Snows talk about it, so...
Yeah. There was reports to the east that certain creatures were being controlled, their minds. But what I saw in your mind, it didn't look similar. They described anguished faces in pain, bewitchments.
He says, no, my father seemed to be completely in control of his faculties and all of that.
You say he's gone missing.
I haven't seen him since the day before the invasion started. We had lunch, like we usually do.
turn to Hum in the group and say, right. What do you think we could look for? What kind of leads do we have to find him? We need to figure out if he knows something that could help us.
Fox goes up
Calexan?
to the boy and asks, did your father meet with any new people before all this shit went down?
He says, we don't spend that much time together. He has his quarters in here, and I live on the other side of town by Aka. We have lunch every Sunday.
You said you saw him the day before. Did he say anything about what he was doing? I mean, at your lunch, what were you talking?
We're just... he was asking me about my studies and what I was doing with the elemental industry companies. And I asked him about...
Sorry about... I know, the hill got attacked pretty hard.
He shakes his head and he says, I did it. The elementals and the material planar humans and humanoids, and they are all working together. The elementals they seemed happy to do what they were tasked to do, and I taught a good many of them Terran. All of that wasted.
It can be rebuilt.
It's not wasted, Calexan. You did what you could. And you helped those people learn those things, and when we rebuild, we can do it again.
But those elementals, they were taken.
This is the first we're hearing of these. Where were they taken?
He says,
By whom?
excuse me. Early in the morning, before I was rescued and brought back to the Citadel, a group of people, they were wearing this, some of them were wearing this armor that looked like it was made of stone. They had these strange, some sort of arcane device with them, these crystals that they stuck to the elementals, and it did something to them. And then they followed them out, and in the chaos they just made their way out of the city. There's nothing I could do.
What did it look like?
What did what look like?
The stone.
He says it was this dark, sort of like this. He gestures to the arrow.
Right.
The people that came, they had this armor that looked like ceramic, and they carried several of them carried these great clubs, and they stole some of the elemental vehicles from the building. Rode off with them.
I kind of give a knowing look to Hum. That is very helpful. We will probably have to look into that.
Where are your dad's quarters here, Calexan?
To be honest, I don't actually know. I never really thought to ask. There's no reason to really meet him in his quarters. I'm sure Colonel Blaze knows.
We'll have to check with him.
Where are you headed after this?
I don't know. I suppose I need to head back to my flat by the college. Or academy. Center.
So, there's a funeral for Marshal Grobash today.
Oh, that's right, he's gone too. He just kind of, his shoulders just slump and he just kind of looks down at the floor for a few moments and he looks up and he says, I'll be there.
We'll look for you.
He nods.
It's not your fault.
Don't.
You've done a lot of good in this city.
He shrugs and he says,
Go ahead.
he just shrugs.
No one has walked away from the situation without something being lost.
Of course.
But you don't have to kick yourself for this. Hold your head high, rebuild what you can, and things will be back the way they were.
He straightens his back and he looks up at Tadias and he... Right.
We'll find your dad.
Thank you. He stands up. He heaves a breath and he says, I'll make my way back to my flat and hopefully it's still there.
You know, maybe you should wait until somebody can escort you.
Okay.
Just for your own protection.
Why can't I server mute? Oh well. Alright. Somebody tell me when Miles is back. I just made his audio 0. Oh, thank you. So he does that, and just to keep us moving here, a militiaman does pick him up and starts heading him back to his flat. Let's do the scene with Zachriel and the Temple of Ogma.
Okay.
But I definitely need to change the music for that. Alright. So back at the Temple District. Sun is high in the sky, and it's definitely summer as Zachriel makes his way to the Temple of Ogma. And same site here, there's cleaning up being done, and the people are coming out of the temple. Somebody's dragging a gnoll corpse and just throws it down onto the street as you walk up.
Hello there, excuse me.
Oh. Hello?
Hello.
It's a young man
you,
in robes.
I see the gnolls are dealt with over here as well.
Yeah, they told us we could go back. We're just cleaning up inside. They made a bit of a mess of our library.
Oh, that's a shame. I was here seeking knowledge.
Well, you may come in and ask you may ask our librarian.
Oh, that would be great.
So
could you show me the way?
Sure, come up, and he's gesturing you to come up the stoop of the place and into, and there's acolytes and a few higher ranked that you kind of surmise they're higher ranked because they they have more iconography on their robes and stuff, and And he leads you in, and he he says, "Can you wait right there?" And it's like a small desk with chairs in front of it. And he led you past like what looks like a sort of a hall, a great hall, and then you see these this rows of shelves on the back of this big building. And you wait for a few moments, and hello there. I think I know your name. Are you Zachriel?
Yes. Forgive me. I'm a little embarrassed. I don't know your name.
That's quite all right. I'm Librarian Tholan.
Pleasure to meet you, Tholan.
He goes to shake your hand.
He shakes his hand. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I assume you're very busy.
We're trying to clean up, and he gestures to the shelves, and you can see that there's books kind of strewn about.
If this is not a good time, I could come back.
Well, I mean, it is a bit of an inconvenience, but if you have a question that I might know off the top of my head, I'll be happy to help.
Yeah, I'm curious of, and I don't know if I'm using the correct term, but I think it may be a primordial god, or whatever.
That's a hotly debated topic, you say, or you mentioned there. Well, primordial god. Do you know the god's name?
Zaman Rule.
And he writes a thing down, and well, I might be able to point you to the right direction. The problem is our books are a bit strewn about. We'll definitely have it organized by tomorrow.
Well, I've got a couple of hours to burn. I could probably help you pick up some of them, at least stack them for you.
He smiles, and he calls out, Rhythmic, come here. He's not that gruff. He says, Rhythmic, could you come over here, please? And a young acolyte comes up and says, oh, do you need any assistance? And he says, can you bring, this is Rhythmic, this is Zachriel. He's a way shield. He wishes to know about a primordial being named Zaman Rule. And the acolytes kind of like thinks for a moment. He says, yes, in that section, if you could bring him there. And the boy says, sure. It's not actually that area isn't actually as messed up. So why don't you follow me?
Sure.
So he leads you up a couple of like a flight of stairs to a higher level, and he kind of like gestures to this section of books. And he says, if there's anything about who you're asking about, it'll be here.
Oh, thank you, but I'll let you get back to your work.
He nods and he says, just call out if you need anything.
I will, thank you.
And he heads off. So do you spend some time looking through these books?
Yeah, I'm gonna... is there windows near me? I imagine there's like...
yeah, so like there are windows that are like almost like arrow slits that are between bookshelves, and they let light in, and there's also a window for light at the top, like a what do you call it?
Like a moon roof?
Yeah, there's another word for it.
Sunroof?
Skylight.
Skylight?
Skylight, yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Good job, Sam.
Thank you, Senna. There's a skylight and all that, so there's plenty of light in here.
Okay, well, the reason I asked for a window was he wants to be cognizant that he's not going to read for the whole night. He wants to actually make it back for this ceremony.
Oh, for sure. He can tell the time easily. So you spend a few hours looking around, and let me think. You do come across a few mentions of Zaman Rule. there are a few accounts by people purporting to be interplanar travelers that talk about certain encounters with Azers and elementals, and there's this one account of how Zaman Rule was sort of booed out of the city of Brass because he was way too benevolent and honest for his own good in that sort of mercantile area. And a lot of this corroborates memories that sort of surface in your head. And then there's some entries that are just like, that's not true, that didn't happen like that. You find a few more entries, but the information is not too complete.
Okay. And as he was going along, like picking up books, if there was any on the floor, he would have picked them up. And he doesn't know where they're supposed to go, so he'll just lay them on the table or something.
Gotcha. Fuck the Dewey Decimal System. You're going here. All right.
Does the Dewey Decimal System exist?
They have some sort of method of organization. How much time do you have, Miles?
I think I got another 15 minutes. I was just helping my roommate out with some.
Ah, shit.
So I had to run away.
I don't know if that's enough time for...
I'll come back, because I know we have like the full hour. It's just like a 5-minute drive.
Oh, okay. Well then, let me ask, what is, after that conversation with Calexan, what are Tadias, Hum, Delia, and Vox doing?
I feel like we're going to Colonel Blaze to find Chanzal's quarters.
Alright.
I mean, is that how everybody else feels too?
Sounds good to me.
Oh, I actually need to enter a number. So this is still a little creepy investigation. So you guys head to Colonel Blaze's office. And you find that the door is open. And you find Colonel Blaze leaning over his desk, and he's got his hand running through his hair, and he looks a little bit disheveled. And he hears the door open, and he looks up, and he says, is it sunrise? Don't tell me it's sunset already.
No, we're poking around.
In what way?
When's the last time you talked to Marshal Chanza?
He says, I had a conversation with him after we planned troop assignments the night before this all went to hell. And he actually hasn't been accounted for. No one knows where he is. And I'm frankly worried that he might have been part of the group that left.
We were talking to his son, Calexan.
He says, come in and close the door if you don't mind.
Certainly. I go back there and I close the door behind us.
And he gestures to some chairs that are pushed off to the side in his little office.
I'll stand, it's alright.
He nods. Puts his elbows on the table and he kind of rubs his temples. I've been going over... Oh, go on?
We would like, with your permission, to investigate his room. We have some clues and we think he might have left a trail to help us find something.
He shakes his head. He says, I suppose that would have been... That is the important course of action. Yeah, you have my permission. Let me scrawl you out a quick letter in case anyone gives you trouble. And he pulls out some parchment.
Thank you. What you were saying?
I've been going over our numbers. we're going to have to do some recruitment to fill. We can't suffer something like that again. Let alone without you and your allies, or your companions, rather.
They're the best. It's hard to think of myself as making it through all of what I've done without them.
He folds this piece of paper, and it's not even a proper envelope, but he just kind of folded it, not completely in half, and then puts a wax seal on it.
And I grab it, nod to him, and put it in the bag.
Well, let me know if you find anything of note.
We will. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Shall we? I kind of give Hum a little, hand gesture like you're marching, so.
We shall.
So the four of you head to his quarters. He gives you...
I have to be right back.
Okay.
Sorry, back.
All right. You guys get to his quarters. And you find that it's locked.
Oh, so Hama's gonna take out her thieves.
Mm-hmm.
While she's doing that, Tadias is going to start Detect Magic as a ritual. Oh, wait, I can't ritual. I'll just cast it.
Okay.
Can I assist Tom?
Roll with advantage, huh? Roll again.
I'm just waiting for it to react.
Yeah, roll 20. It pops right open. And Tadias, you cast Detect Magic. There is a little bit of that in here. But visually, you enter the room, and the bed is sort of broken up and put against, piled in a corner against the wall. The area around is sort of scraped with, what looks like claw marks. And the wood floor looks like it's sort of warped. And in the center of the floor, which is bare except for the bed and a chest of drawers, there is the insignia of the Fourth Stride Militia that looks like it was torn off of a tabard and is just laying there. The magic that you get is from all over the place, and there's no recognizable school.
Does it seem like it's resultant of something happening here, like a scar?
It seems like it's a residue. That's the best you can. That's the best you can tell. What were you gonna say, Vox?
Can I tell what kind of claw marks they are? Are they from human or
Roll nature. You weren't sure.
This doesn't look good, Tadias.
Yeah, it's not a pretty sight. I'd like to, I guess, I don't know if it's survival, but I'd like to make a check. Ago he left.
Check for what?
I would like to make a survival check to see how long the gashes have been there, if they're very, very recent, or if they've been here a long time, he's been slowly going crazy.
Yeah, I guess it would be survival. Go ahead and roll. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, expect as much.
What else are you doing? Or saying?
Do we know of everything that Tadias saw with Savanir?
In regards to what?
Like the torn tabard and the whole 9 yards.
Ooh, that's up to Dias. I mean, there's plenty of time in between like travel for your characters to converse, so that's up to you, Miles.
I think he's been pretty quiet about Sapphire. It's always been like, there's like, some idea that there's fate determining us, that we have like a purpose, but never like getting to the details of the nitty-gritty of it.
Hum picks up the pieces of the torn tabard and says, "This is strange. You would think somebody would notice if he's walking around with a torn tabard."
Well, roll something. Well, I guess it would be survival. Yeah, roll survival.
Also, I was curious, how does my object reading work with non-magic items? I haven't tried it yet.
Can you key the text? Probably. It doesn't say it's a magic item. It just says a magic aura.
Magic aura. That's why I wasn't sure.
That's definitely DM fiat. I feel like
the reason I asked that is because we have like the residue on this room, so that's why I kind of brought the interest in it.
Well, I guess I would say that if it's an item that's experienced something magical happening to it, or was in magical circumstances, it would definitely have that kind of thing.
So the tabard doesn't give me any of that?
Well, Detect Magic doesn't elucidate anything from the tabard. But,
well, since Hum handed it off, I'll just start the minute to see if I get anything from that.
Okay. Are you guys doing anything else with this short minute that he's spending?
Is there like a desk or anything in
there?
there?
There's a chest of drawers in the corner.
And I'm gonna rifle through it.
And a footlocker. Go ahead and roll investigation.
Hum's gonna help her.
Roll investigation with advantage. Oh shit! Yeah. All right.
The dice are coming through for me.
You find, these, very familiar looking, yet somewhat not familiar looking, rocks. These, have a sort of weird, They look like elemental rosin, but it's all kinds of different multicolors. Just sort of, it looks like they're slowly warbling in like this weird crystalline lattice structure of it. You find, let's see how much you find. You find, that many.
Whoa.
That was a good roll.
Guys, I found something really weird and really pretty.
It's sparkly.
And you can tell that it's definitely magical. Like, these remind you of the elemental rosin, only they're different.
Hum looks at Delia and says, "Do you recognize anything about..." I mean, they look like the elemental rosin we had earlier, but different.
I mean, I wonder if it's not related to like the anti-elemental crystals and all that stuff.
Tadias, object reading. The short thing you get, the significant thing that happened, is that a being of this very foreign matter and energy tore this symbol off of a tabard and then just let it drop to the ground. That's all you get from it.
So I saw something like, foreign and alien to me just kind of tear this thing.
You didn't see it. You like because of the way the object read works, I'm kind of like going off of the object like experience something. So there's no seeing, there's just feeling.
Okay. I relay that to everyone else.
Is there any blood in the room?
No.
The crystals and what happened to Calexan's place of business and work. I have a feeling we'll find them in Norborough.
You think that's where they're going to be?
It only checks out with everything we know of the Earth Cult.
Okay. Well, did you see these shiny, sparkly, weird elemental resins that Delia
Well, that's what he
found?
was talking about, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those, the fact that his son works at the place and he would know it, I believe. It's all inside trader.
You think Cal's... It makes no sense.
The cultists have been hiding amongst us, it feels like.
But Chainsaw?
The militia, so many of them disappeared. It reminds me a lot of Orborough and how the officials there also became cultists quite quickly, disposing some of their comrades to take over a city.
But again, I say Chainsaw's involved?
I mean, this room's pretty tore up. What if he was, like, kidnapped or something?
I began to let them know some of the information I got from Detect Thoughts, some of the comments he mentioned over lunch with his son, and specifically the eye color changing.
Do you think he could be under control?
It's possible, but it's not like the snow one described.
I think that we need to get together and make some plan. I feel like we have to talk to Zachariah about this.
He would be interested. I mean, he probably has an axe or a shovel for them.
I also worry about Calexan going back to his place.
His father warned him. He didn't want them at Dhaka. He knew what was going to happen there, or at least he had an idea. I don't think Calexan's in danger.
I trust you.
I could be wrong. It might be better to be safe. You have better instincts about this than I. But I don't think he's immediately a target.
Oh. This is strange. Did we talk to Blaze about this? Did we talk to Colonel Blaze about changes in Chainsaw?
You didn't mention that? You just mentioned, like, we need to see his quarters because reason?
Yeah, we had, like, clues to something about the militia disappearing is how I phrased
Right.
it.
Yeah.
So I say, we could mention that, but I think it might be better until we have facts to do it.
Let's go back to Gordon.
Agreed.
Wait, the bed was up against the wall?
Yeah, and, like, torn, like crushed and just turned into debris and just piled up against the corner.
I guess before we leave, we'll just make one last perception check to see if there's anything interesting that we missed.
You give another once over. You kind of poke at the bed and turn over debris, and you don't find anything else other than a few changes of garb in those drawers that Delia was rifling through.
All right, with that, I'll be satisfied, and I'll nod to him.
All right.
Anybody else want to look at anything, or are you guys ready to go?
Say that silence is a no. I mean, ready to go.
I know, right?
All right.
I don't know.
Huh?
I kind of find it funny that the door was locked.
Why?
Do you think someone under the influence or whatever would be locking their door behind them?
Absolutely. I think that he would be more likely to lock the door if he was hiding something.
There's evidence that something happened in this room. It would be obvious to anyone, and they would probably report it to Colonel Police.
You say this as you start heading down and out of the Citadel. So where are you guys off to?
Meet up with Zach, and if I bounce into Vardic, I was supposed to send him places and let them know about things.
Where does Vardic end up, Justin?
Well, it depends on where in the city he found Muddick.
Likely. Oh damn! Hang on. Over in this area.
Okay, well, he could probably see from the hill where the temple district is, so he would have just started walking that way.
Okay, well then, eventually you guys, whatever route you end up taking, you guys meet up.
Okay, when we bump into each other, I just quickly relay all the stuff that the other team told me to tell him. So, yeah.
What?
Yeah, well, you need to remind me because I don't remember.
Zachariel
I was
asked
starting
you
to
to
blank
find
out.
him.
Zachariel! I thought we were talking about Vardic, because Vardic was...
No, yeah, but just reminding you that Zachariel told you to find him because he probably doesn't know his way around the city too well.
Well, that was the only reason?
Just to let him know
Yeah,
that
just
where
to
we
lead
would
him
be.
back to the temple, basically.
Oh, I thought it was just literally just tell him, like, where the temple was. That was all.
Yeah.
I had to, like, guide him around the city. I didn't know.
Well, no, even like directions.
Oh, yeah. I'll just quickly let him know where the temple is specifically in the city. He's a smart lad. He can figure it out.
I have average intelligence.
Good enough.
Just meeting all my little task obligations. Return cot. Tell Hobgoblin where church is. You know, all my little fetch quests.
All your little fetch quests. All right. So, is there anything else you guys are gonna do before anything you guys want to focus on before we go to sunset?
I really feel like we need to focus on how Chaticus is going to talk to Renn.
All right. Okay. So, going back to that, let me change the track. Hopefully, we can do this a little bit before Miles has to leave.
I'm
So,
just interested in how the grief counselor with no empathy is going to handle the Goliath who is mourning.
Buy the book and then usually making snide comments here and there, but we'll do it.
Yeah, but she also looks like your late wife.
oh man.
Very complex role play session ahead of us.
So, the acolytes, they actually defer to Renn. How should we? What should we do to prepare him for the pyre? Is there any special ointments or treating? Anything we should do with his his organs?
Renn her mouth is just moving. You know, not sure what to say. She says, "You leave him altogether. What are you going to do taking him apart?"
Sorry. Some other cultures have different ways of treating their dead. He looks to Chaticus for help.
Renn, might I ask, what is the cultural purpose of the vultures? They've mentioned them a few times before.
You let the body go back into the nature.
So, with that knowing, and I kind of turned to their face, we would like all of his body to be returned to nature.
Oh, okay.
So, do not worry about preparations. Worry about the ceremony, the fire pyre, everything else like that.
Okay, then we can just we'll bring him to our morgue, and we'll gently lay him down, and we'll set about collecting wood for the pyre.
Excellent.
And they lead you into that place. And there's
So,
more than
yeah.
there's more than a few dead folks in here. Go on.
I was curious to how you are feeling about all of this. Is everything normal in this situation for you?
Did you just ask me if my brother dying is normal?
Yes, it's a typical occurrence in my line of work.
I don't have a lot of brothers, so not really a normal situation.
Ah, my apologies. What kind of feelings are you displaying right now? Do you feel grief, sadness, an inability not to be there for him? Those kind of things? I know we've already sworn ourselves to a revenge plot, and I'm very excited about that bit.
You are weird, man.
Most certainly.
I feel like my brother is dead. And I feel really, really angry because I don't know how to make him feel like he is revenged.
Well,
When she
I must-
says that, she kind of just falls back on her butt.
I
It's draws drawing attention.
Tremor a little bit and kind of find my footing again. And then I look down to her, or to my side to her, I guess, and ask, your brother, he was a warrior, correct?
He was a great warrior. In the time that we sent him back to Kulai, we will tell tales of his bravery.
I know not very much of him, but what I've heard is that he did not die a coward's death. He fought strongly, and he should be proud that your brother fought to protect the people he cared of.
So you know how he died?
I've only heard middlings, as he begins to sweat a little bit as he doesn't know.
What did you hear?
I heard the city was attacked by the gnolls and the magic people.
No, you said you knew how he died a warrior.
He died defending the city. But what I was trying to explain was that if it is true that warriors are to be cherished, many have died for purposes beyond themselves. I don't know if it's worth mentioning, but I am slightly familiar with Goliath culture for certain reasons, and I lost someone very similarly who also went out in a warrior's fashion. I can't know what feelings you are having. I can't even begin to imagine, as I had no siblings. But what I'm trying to eloquate to you is that you are perfectly right in your feelings for revenge, and I will assist you in any way I can.
You may be weird, but you have a good heart.
Bit puts a paw on her.
It's very
On
deep
Ren's
beneath the
arm.
layers, but yes.
Renn feels the paw on her shoulder, and she puts her hand over it,
I
accepting the
you
comfort
too.
from the tobacco. I don't know how I will tell my parents that Grobash will not be coming back to the village. It was my job to bring him back to us.
Would you like us to accompany you to explain it to them?
I cannot go back without revenging him first. And she
I see.
starts crying pretty hard.
Well, if revenge
Hopefully
is
they
on the
don't
docket,
worry about you either.
I am great warrior. They will know that I will protect.
Is Renn older or younger than Grobash?
That's a good
She's
question.
considerably younger than Grobash.
Renn. People leave our lives for many reasons. I just want you to know that the people of Forstride appreciate Grobash's services. He was dutiful, and he was strong. And those seem like things that your culture appreciates. He was an exemplary man that I did not know. I wish I did know him.
He was great warrior. He was very great warrior.
I just kind of let her cry it out and make sure she knows that she's a great warrior too. It's all this is over.
Of course I am great warrior. But I was not here for him.
Well, he'd certainly be alive if you were. But that's probably will instigate feelings of guilt. I should probably mention otherwise.
You are right. I was too slow walking here. If I was faster, I would have saved.
How do the the people who deal with the grief all the time in the death church deal with the very loud crying Goliath woman sitting on the floor?
Well,
Is there any looks?
there are looks, but they see like you talking with her, and you're not. I mean, you're not super. You know, it's not like you're famous, but like they know of you, so you can tell from like how they trade glances and then glance at you that they feel like you're gonna handle it. So
That's not the
They
reputation I
leave
should
you
have.
helpless.
That should not be the reputation I have. I definitely do the service. How I do it to the equality is different.
Well, the thing is, this is a huge Goliath lady, and they're not too keen on getting in her angry, sad path.
I just wanted to note that if they were like avoiding them, that I try to like just kind of give them a sideways smile every once in a while, and make sure that they know that things are being as dealt with as they can be.
They look very relieved when you do that.
But certainly, after all this is done at sunset, we should probably have a feast in his honor. That feels like something Goliath cultures would do as well.
I will stay by his side until he reaches full.
Yes. But afterwards, life will proceed. You know, sentimentality will only get us so far. We should eat and drink to his memory. We should move on and exact revenge. We should go inform the other family members. There's so much more to do in life.
Excuse me, Renn, like the tears stop, and she's looking at Chaticus a little bit confused. Okay, that is something we will do for you.
Do for me? No, do for yourself.
Okay, that is something we will do for me. Okay. Okay.
That was surprisingly easy, as he kind of whispers to himself.
I must talk to his friends and make them talk about his warriorness.
Is it some sort of thing they do during the ceremony? Or is it just for you?
Oh, Oh, you want to know about what we do in this ceremony? Yes,
Yes, please tell me.
Yes, we will start fire, and as he burns, we will tell stories of his warriorness, his how do you say the words? His prowess.
It's a good word. Military acumen could also be, interjected in there.
His accomplishments.
Yes, his accomplishments. See, she is such smart cat.
You are smart too, Renn.
I am a great warrior. I am not always a great thinker.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to interrupt the scene. Is there any more? Or...
She
You cut out there.
I was just checking in on the scene.
Well, no. I think Chatty is going to sit at just a listening stance now. He's gotten the points he needed to, check on. Kind of checked off his little checklist of, all right, do this thing, do this thing, do this thing. Now just listen to them. All right. So he's just sitting there, kind of just patiently.
Renn, is there any feasts?
we will drink to his accomplishments. We will go around the circle and tell stories of the great warrior that was Grobash, Bird Caesar, Drumpile, and we will celebrate his life.
Hey, Mike, out of character, what kind of check would it be for me to make this fermented goat milk with all my, decomposition expertise?
Oh man. I mean, it's a fermentation that takes 2 months. So
yeah, but we also live in a world with magic.
It's true. Let's see. Your druid magic and all that. I guess.
And he is kind of a rot druid, so.
Yeah.
It's literally my expertise. So
Yeah.
Even if
I
it's
feel
not
like
within 2 months, if I can prep it just for later.
I feel like it would be a. Well, first you'd need to find a goat.
Easy, I can summon one. No, I'm kidding.
I
turn someone into a goat, and then
holy fuck,
Okay.
man!
I mean, how ethical do you want to get about this? I got magic.
That's a conversation I don't want to have right now. Well, assuming you can find a goat that is lactating, I guess it would be a nature check based in wisdom, since wisdom's your spellcasting stat.
Mike,
What's up?
where did you say that this goat milk would be found at?
I said you need to find a goat.
No, but earlier on tonight.
I think Kitty's was mentioning that,
Oh, maybe it was
normally-
Kitty's.
Yeah, taverns or bars might have them in her culture, but it's not a popular drink here. So it's like a specialty thing that we probably don't have immediate access to. So Chaticus in his back mind was thinking like, hey, I provided the food the previous day. Maybe I could find a way to make this specialty drink somehow.
Yeah, unfortunately, Chaticus kind of he thinks about it, but then he realizes that finding a domesticated goat, especially after all of this chaos, is a very tall order.
One the gnolls hadn't killed.
And likely isn't doable.
I mean, there's means. There's means to things.
Yeah.
Maybe I can polymorph one animal that's lactating into another animal that's lactating. That's a 1-to-1 ratio. I think that one's fine.
Where is Delia's family's farm? And do they have animals like that?
They do not.
They're-
They are bakers and wheat farmers.
Petrus Farms, remember?
So does Chaticus? So like it's late afternoon now, and it's a long day. So you have some
Okay.
hours.
Chaticus is just going to remain attentive with Ren. If she's staying here, he's staying here.
Okay.
Because that's the protocols he follows. He's just being there for her whenever she needs to talk. But on the side, he's just thinking about those things and figuring out how he can go about that complex scenario.
Great. Well, is there anything else Ren, does, talks, grieves?
No, she looks up at Chaticus.
Oh, and there's my text. I gotta go, guys. See you in a bit.
Okay. We might
Bye.
be ending.
Bye.
She kind of says, "Where is that Stoneflame? I thought he was with us."
And cut to Stoneflame still standing outside the Wayshield's headquarters with his chin in his hand, thinking. And then finally he says, I guess I shouldn't try to compete with the sister of the deceased Goliath. And he looks around and he says, oh. And he starts walking down the street toward the temple. Actually, I feel like that's a good place to end off.
How long was he standing there?
Hours.
All day.
I actually feel like that's a good place to end off. The camera pans to Stoneflame walking down the street, and cuts to credits.
Wait, did Hum and Delia spruce them all up? Or did we leave?
Oh yeah, glitter falls over. And, what? I was thinking so hard, I didn't see them do that prank on me.
He has blue, glittery eyeshadow on.
He blinks. He just like looks into the camera. He blinks. Cuts to credit. And I think we'll end that. We'll continue next week. Justin, are you here next week, or are you gone next week?
I'm gone next week.
Well, shit.
And then I'm back the following week.
Okie doke. I think in that case, we're still running, but I'll just talk to you about if you want to have Zachariel say anything of note
Yeah, sure.
for Grobash's thing.
I'm also free this whole week up until Saturday night
Good to know. For certain things.
for other things. Yes.
So thanks for watching, Joy.
Bye, Joy.
Bye, Joy.
By Joy and one by Joy for Miles.
I was gonna do that. Good on you.